silence. So our Township arborist, John Hosback, they lost their daughter, Morgan Rose, last week. Tragic story, but we'll just take a few seconds for a moment of silence and we'll get started. All right, thank you so much. So first order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. You're more than welcome to join us. Flag is up here. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. So first order of business, meeting minutes from our last meeting, May 25th, 2022. Does anyone on the commission have any comments? Everything looks good. I'll make a motion to approve as is. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right. Next item, the consent agenda. So we have 0 Leslie, a bunch of dirt being moved, 0 trees. James or Matt, you want to speak to this address?
James will have to. Yeah, I looked over. It looks like it's just an open lot. Nothing, no trees in the area. So looked good to me.
Got it. Anyone have any questions? Hello.
Hi, I'm Mary from Parks and Rec.
Oh, hi. Oh, thank you. Welcome. Welcome. Sorry, I was not expecting you, but thanks for coming. All right. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. We do have a note if there's any public participation for items on the consent agenda. Anyone have anything? All right, good. All right. Next item, new grading permits. So that's why you're all here tonight, I'm presuming. So do we have anyone from 26 Wentworth, the land development project, here with us? Great. So if you could come up, introduce yourself, relation to the project, lay your plans on the table, and Ian will bring it on screen. There's an orange pointer in there if you'd like to use it.
Seth, Wentworth was before planning, our last planning meeting.
Great.
And we tabled the application just for some tightening up of different details and aspects of it.
Perfect.
And they'll be back before us.
Okay. After the introduction, if you could provide some details on that, that would be great. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Rick Stratton. I'm the civil engineer for the project, representing Rockwell Glynn, who is the applicant. And this project proposes to subdivide a currently vacant residential lot in the R5 district, 26 Wentworth. The proposal is to subdivide it and then construct semi-detached residential dwellings and then create 2 separate lots. Yes, we were here before the Planning Commission a couple of weeks ago, got some feedback, and just last week on Friday we resubmitted revised plans to the Township, and we expect to be before the Planning Commission again on July 5th. The revisions, there were no revisions really to landscaping. Most of the revisions were around stormwater, a little bit of zoning. So I'll just orient everyone here. This here is Wentworth Lane. Access to the site is off of Wentworth Lane. Conestoga Road is out here. There's some commercial properties here. Many people are familiar with the garden store here. And then there's a couple of restaurants over on this lot here. But this lot is 26 Wentworth. It's a 15,000 square foot lot. As I mentioned, the plan is to subdivide it right down the middle and then have two proposed dwellings here. What I'm showing here is the existing lot as is. There's remnants of the old residential driveway that was here for the house that's been demolished. We are showing some trees to be removed here. There's 3 trees in the front, 1, 2, 3, 6 along the side here that are being removed. And then, let's see, get my count here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the back. Total of 16 trees being removed for this project. And we do have calculations for replacement trees and also some street trees that we're going to put back.
In the plans, where is the replacement tree formula table outlining trees coming out and trees going in?
I'll go to on sheet 6 of the plans is the landscaping details. And right here on the chart, I guess it's hard to see on the screen, but we've summarized the street trees required and provided. We summarized the replacement trees for the 16 being removed. All the trees being removed are less than 18 inch in diameter. Therefore, they're required to be put back at a 1-to-1 ratio. We're only proposing 6 replacement trees in the back, so we do have a deficit of 10 trees, and it is my understanding that the township would consider a fee in lieu of for the trees that we are not able to put back.
Mm-hmm.
So we will work with the township to establish that fee.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, there's 3 trees here in the front proposed. Those are shade trees, street trees. That's for the required frontage. And then there are 6 proposed replacement trees in the back. We can't really provide much more than that. We do need to have room for a stormwater management basin in the back here.
What types of trees are those?
The replacement trees are red sunset maple, shade master honey locust, and a high tower willow oak. And so that's part of the replacement trees proposed here.
Okay, so all large canopy.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know what the trees coming out are?
Yes, the ones in the back are maple trees. I believe they're Japanese maple. I'm not an arborist, but from my eye and from our landscape architect's eye, they appear to be some Japanese maples in the back. On the side, there's also some maples and a couple of spruce. And in the front, there's also some maples. The largest tree on the site that we are removing is there is one that's 18 inch, but everything else is less than that.
For the trees that are staying, can you speak to tree protection?
So none of the trees on the site are being preserved or staying. There is tree protection proposed for a 13-inch magnolia on the adjacent lot, because our construction envelope comes pretty close to the roots, and so to protect that, we will have some tree protection around the perimeter of the magnolia on the adjacent lot. But none of the trees on the existing lot are being preserved.
Okay. And there's, assuming, no way to preserve any of the trees, you've looked at that?
Well, we were talking about it tonight. It's possible that these ones in the back could be preserved, but I think for a better product, the applicant would prefer to propose, new trees, and perhaps, If we want to negotiate keeping some of those, we're open to that, but for now, we're proposing to remove them.
I do see in the back, there's one dead tree at the back right of the lot, but all of the others appear to be healthy.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
And the ones that are healthy, it looks like they are smaller DBH trees, so 7 to 10 inch. So nothing super significant back there.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you know if those maples are Norway maples or what species they might be specifically?
The maples on the side, I don't
Okay.
know. Just from the eye, I know that the ones in the back appear to be Japanese maple.
Got it, okay. So you're requesting, so the 16 that are coming down, they're a 1-to-1 replacement. You're looking to replant 6, so 10 proposed for fee in lieu of, or 9? 9 or 10?
10.
10.
16 being removed, 6 replacements
Okay,
proposed.
got it.
And what's the 3 street trees up above then? That's the part that's confusing me. Is that a subset of the 6?
Yeah. The 3 in the front are not also counted as replacements. Those are separate street trees.
For land development.
Yeah,
Okay.
for a land development requirement. So
Oh, I see.
I don't think we can count those
understand.
twice.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And out of the 6 that you are planting, why just 6 and not 16?
As I'd mentioned, the lot is not really large enough to support more trees, and we don't think that they would survive and thrive. Plus, there's a pretty good-sized stormwater management basin in the back of the lot in the open area here, and it's not a very good idea to propose a tree on top of a stormwater bed. Those roots can wreak havoc with those.
Sure, yeah, it does look like a fairly tight lot. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? I do think that the plans look good. Replacement trees look okay. Would love to see more trees, but it is pretty tight. So I will make a motion to approve as is, 6 being planted, or replanted, I should say, with 10 trees, fee in lieu of. And you can work out the details with the township regarding that. Do I have a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, best of luck with your project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next address, 761 Applegate. Do we have anyone for that address here? All right, great. So it looks like 1 tree to be removed, 600 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site.
Seth, this would have been on the consent agenda, except for there's one area on the driveway. I just looked from Google, and there's a line of trees going up maybe on the neighbor's side, Thoya, or Arborvitae. The limit of disturbance goes past that, so that was the only, everything else looked good. That was the only issue
Got
that
it.
you wouldn't want to, if they're the neighbor's trees, to keep away from them.
Yeah, if you look, the existing driveway is on the neighbor's property. If you see the faint line.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I brought a small plan, but if you would go to this page, I don't know if we can zoom that up or not.
It's the second sheet
Okay,
of
that's
the
good.
PDF.
Okay, thanks.
So, if you look right here, you see the existing driveway that actually goes onto the neighbor's property? What we're going to do is bring it back where it belongs. So, as part of the construction, we're going to make it right. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So you'll have protection up there?
Yeah.
Make sure you don't hurt their trees?
yeah.
Yeah.
And can you briefly speak to the tree protection, just in general, outside of that area?
Well, we followed the standard detail with the chain link, 6-foot high chain link fence. And In this case, the new house is literally going in the exact same spot as the old house. It is a little deeper, but there's nothing there in the backyard, so the fencing just sort of goes around the whole perimeter, and we really don't get close to anything.
Got it. Looks like there's a row of pines on the side there.
In the back.
Yeah.
And there's fencing, shown
Okay.
around them. But we really don't get that close to them with our
Sure.
disturbance.
Sounds good. Anyone have any other questions? Straightforward enough? We would encourage replanting of trees while you're obviously at it with the new property, new home.
We always do.
Perfect, sounds good. So I'll make a motion to approve as is. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Best of luck.
Good night.
Okay, do we have anyone from 416 South Ithan with us? Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Chris Yon. I'm the civil engineer for this project. This project was in front of Shade Tree Commission last month. Unfortunately, I wasn't here, so I can only tell you what I heard. But I know that we had a tree report done. I thought I had submitted it, but I guess I didn't. And so since then, we did make the official submission to show all the hazardous trees. And so I believe that was mainly what you were looking for, but I'm happy to go over the project again, too, if you'd like another overview.
If you, just for the record, just do a 1-minute overview, and then we'll just discuss the hazard tree report and go from there.
Sure.
Thank you.
So there's an existing house here in the back of the lot with a driveway on the left-hand side. Many trees in the front of the lot. The house itself is dilapidated, has not been well kept, and so it's the same thing with the landscape. There's a lot of dead trees, other trees that, maybe partially alive have branches down on the ground. And so that's why there's so many dead trees to be removed. What's proposed is a new house that's pulled up a little closer to the front yard setback, a driveway on the right-hand side with a pool and patio in the rear. So there were an additional 5 trees to be removed in addition to the ones that were hazardous. And so because there were only 5, we weren't required to have any replacement. And then lastly, this is our erosion sediment control plan, which shows the tree protection fencing around the trees to remain. It's shown with a line and some X's. This disturbance area is shown by a yellow dash line, and then we have the tree protection detail on the last sheet. And I do have the report here, so I'm happy to go into any further detail.
Could you just remind us, and for the record, so the number of trees coming out, number going in, number of healthy, number of hazard trees?
So we have 34 hazardous trees to be removed and 5 healthy trees to be removed. We're not proposing any, or I guess I didn't submit any plans that showed proposed trees because we don't have to. That being said, I do have this plan that we've gone over with the owner where he plans to plant some arborvitaes along the left-hand property line, some new trees along the street, and then some other shade trees along the property in some open areas. So he doesn't want to be locked into this.
Sure.
He doesn't have to, but he is proposing at least this much.
Got it. Yeah, our approval tonight would not be per the landscaping plan, but thank you. And in just looking at the hazard tree report, and it looks like there's a photo of every single dead tree. I just went through a majority of them. They all do look dead, some deader than dead. So I don't have any specific questions regarding this. Does anyone on the commission have any questions regarding the hazard tree report?
That's what I'm going through right now. And who did the hazard tree report?
MG Tree.
Okay. Oh, okay, thank you. Good.
I do recall you did speak last meeting, so thank you. I don't know that we necessarily need to repeat any details specific to that. think the main concern was getting a hazard tree report into the township and on the record.
And Seth, the owner did contact John and invited him and myself to look at the property. I didn't hear anything from John about it, but I assume
Sure.
it was good since I didn't hear anything. The trees were in bad shape. There was
Yep.
like 80-foot dead trees just
Mhm.
standing there.
Okay.
The property hasn't been taken care of.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
I'm just curious, what kind of trees were these that are hazardous or dying, dead, beyond dead?
there was all sycamores, pines.
Okay. Yeah, sort of what I was getting at, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Obviously, we would encourage planning as much as possible, but you're not held to that necessarily. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, just one question. What's the size of the 5 trees coming out?
The 5 coming out, there's a 6-inch, 2 6-inch maples, a 10-inch fruit tree, 14-inch maple, and a 16-inch pine.
Okay.
I think we discussed previously canvassing the neighbors just as this lot is being clear cut, not necessarily, but a lot of trees coming out, just to make sure they're all on board.
Oh,
Sounds good, thank you.
that's great.
And recommend to even plant more if you can, because there's so many coming out.
Can I-
Yeah. Perfect.
Did we mention to plant more trees?
Seth, can I just,
Sure.
sorry. I just want to comment. So, Mr. Yu, you were in front of the Board of Commissioners. I think I said this at the meeting, and I thank you, Seth and James, for bringing it up. If we could just have like a timing of when we think it's going to happen, even though I know you guys are engaging with the neighbors in the area, which I think is great, and I thank you for that. I'll put it out on my commissioner, some of the commissioner represents that area. I'll put it out in my newsletter. People just always get very concerned, when trees start to come down. So we'll just let people know that it's gone through the commission. You guys have engaged on it. It's all on the up and up, and most of the trees are hazardous anyway that are coming out, so. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else? All right, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you so much. Best of luck. Okay, next address. Do we have anyone from 706 Knox Road with us tonight? Good evening. So it looks like no dirt being moved, no trees coming out.
Nope.
Sidewalk, driveway, wall, and pillars.
So main reason for this entire project from the get-go is they
If you could
currently
make
have-
sure to speak into the
sorry.
mic, thank you.
They currently have a rain garden, above-ground rain garden pit in their backyard. They're looking to put it in the ground and,
Okay.
flatten the...
If you could flip the site plan around, sorry. It's backwards for us, thank you.
So currently they have their actual stormwater above-ground pit right here. In the exact same space, they're looking to put it all underground and, actually grade above it so their kids can actually use that space. Because of that, they wanted me to do a couple other things at their property to make sure that they can use their house appropriately. There are only 2 trees on the property. They're both right next to the road. One is marked a maple, but it's actually Quercus rubrum. The other one is Acer platanoides, I believe it is. They're both about 20 inches, DBH. We are not going to be doing any work near them, but we do have silt fence and the typical 6-foot chain length, 6 feet away from the trunks to protect around it. Our actual point of access for the back is off the driveway, and the trees are here and here. There is mature trees kind of lining the property on the back and side of the house. We will have, of course, disturbance, silt fence going all the way around to keep it off. Probably about 10 feet away, shouldn't have any effect on them. So, yeah.
Great, okay. Yeah, it looks straightforward. You detailed the protection fencing, looks good. Does anyone have any comments, questions?
Matt or James, was there a reason why this wasn't on the consent agenda, or?
I have no idea. I mean,
I didn't see this, I don't think it came
Maybe it
to
just
us.
came in
It
lately?
probably came in later.
Okay.
But it looked good, I reviewed it offline too, and you're from Roots, you guys
Yeah,
do
I'm,
beautiful work, by the way.
Thank you, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I know we've worked with John a couple of times, and, you know, we do whatever you guys need.
We'd like that. All right. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Yep.
All in favor? Aye.
Great.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All,
Good luck.
appreciate your time.
Yep.
All right. Next address, 1 Meadowwood Road, sanitary lateral connection project, 50 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site, 12 trees to be removed. Evening.
Good evening, Patrick Spellman with Site Engineering Concepts. We prepared the plan for a rock well. This is their third one in their trifecta tonight. This was a subdivision that the board saw several years ago. I doubt anybody remembers it. The property continued off to the west. 2 lots were created off to the west. So this is the remaining tract of the parent tract. There is a sanitary easement running along the back of the property that connects these 2 houses to this sanitary sewer out on Meadowwood Road. So in the process of putting in these sanitary laterals, we will need to take out 17 trees. All the trees are less than 18 inches. We are proposing to replace them one for one, so we are proposing 17 trees along the easement area. The tree protection fence is going around the entire limit of disturbance with entrance off of Meadowwood Road.
Great, thank you. Could you speak to the replacement trees going in, species, location?
So there are 14 cherry trees being proposed and 3 giant arborvitae. The arborvitae would be here, everything else are the cherry trees.
What kind of cherry trees,
You're gonna,
the species?
yeah, I can't really say it.
Might be Cryptomeria, Yoshino. Not a cherry, yeah, Cryptomeria.
Oh, it's cryptomeria.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
James, for saving me there. I guess that sums it up for us.
Yeah. So maybe to my committee friends here, any concerns about biodiversity?
So just 2 total species, correct? The
Correct.
Yoshinos and the arborvitae?
Mhm.
Okay. And 17 coming out, 17 going in.
Do we know what's coming out?
There's 9 maples and the balance 8 pines.
Hey, Patrick, are you locked in to that area? I mean, in terms of, you're taking these trees out in a line like that because you have to, right? I mean, is there a reason for that, or?
Why we have them lined up like this?
No, the ones that are coming out.
Yeah, so these are all right around the laterals. So the laterals running along the back, these 2 lines that have the S on them are running along the back, and they would be damaged.
So the lateral is in, and it's, or going in,
The lateral's not in yet.
Okay.
They're putting the lateral.
and that's the only place you can put it?
Correct, that's where the easement, from the subdivision, this is the easement for the laterals.
Just as a clarification, the owner of the property who is giving the consent to plant the trees, he said that those should be Norway spruces, not those cryptomeria. So that we should update that plan, but he wants those 14 trees to be Norway spruces.
Could you have him speak at the microphone? I'm sorry, I can't hear him. I'm sorry, thank you.
Those 14 trees are going to be Norway spruce?
Going in would be Norway spruce?
Yes.
Could you speak to any of the neighbors and if you've spoken with them, any requests to we have a neighbor here tonight. So, before we have public comment on this property, any other specific questions on the plans? Okay.
Yeah, I think the planting schedule, what you're proposing to plant, I would switch that up. I wouldn't go with 14 Norway spruces.
Sorry, I'm just relaying what the homeowner's telling me.
Yeah, so I would just be making a recommendation here. I
He
don't
was
think
saying he's going to split them evenly between those three species, not just
Oh,
Norway.
okay. He's going to split with all three.
Yes.
I would also recommend if there's enough room, I can't tell, I didn't review the plan before, but what are the other trees that are existing that are staying? Are they trees in front?
When you say in front.
Yeah, right in front of that, right where your finger's at. No, in the other way. Sorry.
So I'm not covering up. So this here is a pine?
Go the other direction. There are three circles.
Towards
No,
the road?
No, towards the building,
All right,
right there, to your left,
or my left.
right there.
These? They're new, they're.
Oh, that's the
yeah,
replacement trees.
They're the new trees.
Gotcha.
These boulder,
Oh, so they're on the same page, okay.
yeah, they are. Everything's on the same page.
Got it.
The owner of that property has planted 46 of those same three species over the
I
past
saw
couple
one,
of
yeah,
years.
yeah.
So he's planting a lot.
Planting a
No, I
lot.
understand. I would recommend to break it up even more, maybe put some shade trees in. I don't know if we can
I agree.
require you to, but I think it would be a good, since you have enough room there, you should put a couple large canopy trees in. And they'll probably be even less expensive than the cryptomeria. It's not a cost thing, it's just be better for the area.
So let's, while we're shuffling, we'll accept public comment. So if you would like to come up and provide your feedback on the project?
Can I just ask a quick question to James's point, James, what you just said, and you're definitely the expert, I'm not, but one of the things with the trees in the back is for the residents, I think it's also to screen the new properties that are opening. So if a shade, is a pine better than a shade tree, like for screening purposes? And I'm just asking because I don't know.
It depends on what's behind there. If you're just blocking something low, then cryptomeria, the green giant, will do a better job. But during the summer, if you're going to be, say if they have an upstairs in the house, you're not going to see for the first 10 years, those trees aren't going to block that view. So if there is houses behind those trees,
So Browning, so all the properties from Browning back up to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's helpful.
and so if there's no other large canopy trees, I don't know what's on the other properties, but if there's not, it'd probably be a good idea for both sides to
Let's
plant
take,
some large.
let's take public comment. Do you mind stepping aside? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Haley Erdlin, 7 Meadowwood Road. So I just want to first and foremost say I'm not against this project at all.
Can you step away just a little
Yeah.
bit from the microphone?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's easier.
so the biggest reason why I'm here tonight is that I'm a neighbor, and we have concerns that the contractor, Rockwell, the sewer company, and the tree company are doing what they're required to do and what they are supposed to be doing. I live along the largest part of the impact of this project. I am directly on Meadowwood, and you can see there are 9 trees being removed 5 feet from my property line. The tree company, which he left, MG Tree Service, showed up at the end of January, in the middle of winter, and started cutting trees down. I went out there because they were right along my property line with the 3 trees that were already removed. There's actually 2 inconsistencies with this plan. First of all, they did not remove that tree in the very front that they say they removed. That's still there. And then they also say that I have an 8-inch spruce on my property, which I don't. I do have a tree that is abuts up to the utility, pole that we have, and I am assuming they're not going to cut that down. However, going back to January, MG Tree Service cut down one of our trees, thinking it belonged to 1 Meadowwood. They also had marked all the trees. We had no idea what was going on. We have been in the dark about this project since the easement was sold, since Rockwell started, building, no one has told anything of us. So it prompted me to reach out to my commissioner, Lisa Borowski, who then gave me information, connected me with Steve Norsini, and it's been great. And we have been in the loop of what's going on. But, in the bigger, shorter things is that my request tonight is that we are losing the most majority of the trees. We are losing our shade, we are losing drainage. We have major drainage issues on our property because the houses on Meadowood are higher than us, including one Meadowood, and lots of water comes through our property. So we're losing very mature trees. Now, they are not heritage trees, I understand that, but there's a beautiful maple right there that is going away. So my request is, right now, they're proposing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6 new replacement trees, and I request that they replant what we are losing, which is 9 to 10 trees. We're losing shade, our barrier, our privacy, and drainage. And that's all I ask as a neighbor. And also just that they keep neighbors in the loop. We cut down one tree, and we let all of our neighbors know. They were losing power, and it's just all we ask. So, thank you.
Thank you. Do you mind coming back up, and if we could speak to if you're amenable to requests of neighbors modifying plans?
The general idea I got was taking these trees and moving some more down along in this area. And I also know that eventually the owner is planning on planting more trees. As you always say, plant more trees. Just hasn't made that decision yet. So we can certainly take these trees and put them more down this way.
Yeah, I think the idea would be where the trees stand now, replace with comparable, as much as you can.
Understood.
In regards to the variety of species, so arborvitae, Norway spruce, and some Yoshino's, speaking to the neighbor, is there an appetite for large shade trees to be planted?
Shade trees are just something that's green.
Sure.
You have green year-round.
Yeah, okay.
I think the owner of the property, who is not here tonight, he is amenable to moving the trees down to, relocate them. He does not want to commit to large canopy trees at this time. And I'm
Why
just
is that?
Speaking for him. He has a grand and master landscape plan for the entire property, and I just don't know that those fit into the plan at the moment.
The reason I ask is because that seems to be the delta. The difference is that you have like half of the trees coming out are maples, and it sounds like some of them are large, although not heritage. And they would certainly help diversify the coniferous trees that you're putting in, along with the small flowering trees. And they would help with the drainage.
I would be a little careful also of putting anything in there that's going to lose its lower vitality in 20 years. And spruces, pines, they'll grow tall, but the neighbors are going to see right through them eventually. So like a green giant, I'm harping on that again, but a green giant won't do that. And it will take a snow load, and it will grow faster than a regular arborvitae. So, I mean, that's one option, but I just think I'd try to avoid anything that's going to lose its lower canopy automatically.
Do we know what size the trees are that are going back in?
Yeah, so the cherry trees would be 6 to 7 feet in height, and the green giants are 8 to 10 in height.
They should be a minimum 2.5 dBH. Those heights should fall in that area.
And then,
They measure them like the...
Sure, right.
okay. And then a question to Matt. Regarding the Norway spruce, if that's going to lose its lower canopy, which I understand then will give up the screen and the privacy, would something like a cryptomeria be a better suggestion? So, that would be a coniferous tree, and it would give you more long-term privacy.
I'm sorry, what was the?
Cryptomeria?
That's the cherry.
That's the
No.
that's the one that we were proposing
Yeah,
as
no,
part of it.
cryptomeria, like the coniferous
Yeah,
cryptomeria?
Yoshino, Mr. Spellman's calling it the cherry trees. It's Cryptomeria japonica Yoshino.
My apologies, yes.
It's not a actual cherry, it's not a cherry tree.
He said he would do, he said he's open to doing the cryptomeria and the green giants and eliminating the Norway spruce.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments? So I'll make a motion to approve contingent upon updating the plan per making all neighbors happy, and making sure that, these updates are communicated. You work with the neighbors in the township to make sure this is a smooth project. The specific species at the end of the day are up to you, but we highly encourage, even if it's one or two shade trees, understanding it's not a part of the grand mastered landscaping plan, but stuff them in the corners or put them somewhere where they will not be at risk is what we would request.
Yeah, or just a suggestion, would the owner be willing to purchase some large shade trees that then the neighbor could plant on their yard butting up to this area?
Yeah, I don't know if we can answer that.
Sure, okay.
I don't know.
Just to, obviously that can be off the record, but, anything that you can do to help replace that buffer.
I would be open to doing that, just
Okay.
to get this approved, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
As from my team, not even from the owner.
sure.
Okay.
Okay. Great, all right, I know that was a long-winded motion, but do I have a second?
Second.
All in
Yep.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Mhm.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think that's the last grading permit. All right, tree removal without approval, that's 506 Chalmont Drive. I don't think we have anyone here from that property tonight. Ricky, you're the man of the hour.
Mhm.
What's the update?
Yes, what did you want to know?
We have on here to follow up. I'm totally blanking on what the latest was on this property, but if you could remind us, and if there are any other updates since the last time we discussed this.
Yeah, we still haven't had contact with them yet. They haven't reached out, so we're still following up with them.
Got it, okay, sounds good. And one other address that was this past week, so it didn't make its way on the agenda, but 400 South Wayne. Ricky did contact the tree company and the owner to follow up. There was a likely hazardous tree removed, but it was of a DVH that would require a hazard tree report. Ricky, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, we had talked to the company, the homeowner, when I visited the site. Didn't answer the door, so we then went to talking to the tree company that performed the work. Out of the trees that were removed, there were 5 that met the criteria, that the DVH size to be allowed, but then there was one heritage tree size that was removed, even though the plan showed it to be in decline. We did not have a hazardous tree report to support that. So in talking with the tree company and trying to find out where that missing hazardous tree report was, they were not able to produce it. So then moving forward, we made sure they were compliant with being able to work in a township, and while they had a license, they did not have a licensed arborist on their staff. So because they did not meet the criteria, they did have another job planned at another location in the township. So because they didn't meet the criteria, we then told them they are not able to work in a township until they meet the requirements fully. So that's where we're at with that company.
Great, thank you for that update. So that'll make its way on the agenda once we have that in place. I know there were a couple of concerned residents, but I do believe that we'll be able to get all of this squared away with some hazard tree reports, and we'll be good to go. Any comments on what we just spoke to? All good? All right. 7, old business. So fair amount of things to speak to. We've been busy offline. So first item, so the fall planting. So we have some things in motion in preparation of that. So you'll see here, contractors, tools, and locations. So just a quick budget recap of where we are. So for 2022, we had budgeted 15.1 that was approved by the board for our big tree planting. However, we do have a $55,000 balance in our tree account, and that actually might be higher now depending on when some of these fee in lieu of payments have come through. Since the beginning of this year, so we've spent $47.50 on the PHS trees from our spring planting, so that leaves us with $10,350. Now, that doesn't mean that's what we have left to spend. We can request to Bob Tate, Bill White, and the board to increase our budget item and consume some of our excess in our account, as we've discussed. So first one, contractors. So as we talked about previously, dividing and conquering for our fall planting. So Ricky and his team committed to helping out and planting some trees. We're trying to line up some volunteers again. And then I did reach out to Dana at PHS, and she did put me in touch with a couple of great companies to reach out to. All of them said that they were either busy or essentially not interested, except for Hassan at Tree Authority, LLC. Great company. Dana sings his praises, and in speaking with him, he also helps out other townships with the exact same thing that we're requesting him to help out with, which is plant PHS bare root trees, which is great. So I received a quote, very fair in my opinion. So he's willing to commit to 50 trees at $100 a tree, which is fantastic. And those, he's amenable to either doing residential plantings, business district plantings, parks plantings, basically wherever we would need him to help out and his crew. So that would be in total $5,000. So for tonight, we don't necessarily need to approve it because I would like to have Frank here since he's our PHS mastermind. And we do still have a meeting or two, but I just wanted to bring it forth. So before I move on to the next item, any comments, questions on this approach? Seem reasonable?
Yeah, very reasonable. And I looked at the guy's website, and it seems like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and they have a yard full of great trees that they have available as well. So I think this would be a good relationship to forge.
Yeah, I think the quote looks great. I
Yeah.
think that looks like a good value.
Ricky, what do you got?
Yeah, if I could ask one question. The name doesn't sound familiar, but when you guys decide that's who you want to go with, if you could just give us some time so we can get them signed up as a vendor.
Yep, will do.
That'd be great. Thank you.
How long does that process normally take?
An hour?
Don't commit to
I didn't think it was
that.
that short.
Don't commit to that. Okay, sounds good. So there's no like formal 2-month process. Good. All right. So moving on to the next, so tools. So I got a quote from Do It Best, and the owner of Do It Best was very amenable to providing us with a great quote. So you should have a printed version of that in front of you. So 20 shovels, 5 pickaxes, that's what the cutter Maddock is. Basically it's a wide flat end and then just flips 90 degrees on the other end. No pointy things. Made sure of that so we can prevent accidents. 5 hard rakes, 5 leaf rakes, 3 32-gallon trash cans to put all the tools in, and 10 5-gallon buckets to heave some water from local faucets and streams. So you can see all the retail and then discounted prices, so that's a total of $1,000. This set of tools, spoke with Ricky and some other folks, seemed to make the most sense for the variety of what we needed during the spring planting. That way we have dedicated tools for the fall, and we don't have to paint our shovels pink like Matt did, and make sure we get them back. Any comments on the set of tools proposed to purchase? Great. And Ricky, you're allowing us to store our tools in the township building?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Stash them in the corner, put yellow caution tape, don't touch until the fall.
Will do.
Perfect.
I would recommend,
Go ahead and put your mic on.
the shovels are, maybe the metal handle
So,
instead of wood.
There was 3 levels. So they didn't have metal, they had fiberglass. They had pine, hardwood, lacquered, and fiberglass. I went with the hardwood lacquered.
Okay.
Fiberglass, if they're left out, I know that they can get weird.
The only reason is if they do get scratched the wrong way, they splinter. And we just to protect people, that's all.
The fiberglass, you mean?
No, the wood.
Right. Well, wouldn't the fiberglass do the same thing, or they're not as?
They usually break right at the head.
Okay.
What I've seen.
Okay.
So, just
Um,
something to consider.
Yeah, okay. No, I trust you. No, I'll get an updated price or a quote with those instead. Sounds good. I know he did make a comment on the, I believe the leaf rakes went up to the fiberglass because the wood ones aren't as, longevity's not great. Cool. All right, so again, we won't approve this tonight. We'll approve all this when Frank is back, just so we can do all this in one fell swoop. And same with, do we have Do It Best on the, okay, so we're good there. Got it. Cool, all right. Third item, locations. So obviously, we're going to open this up to the residents. Parks, we're always using as an overflow, potentially for volunteers. That's a great way to divide and conquer for parks. Businesses, so quick update there. So I did reach out to retailer. Presumably, there was already a plan in the works for the business district. So from the planting a couple of years ago, I know there's some replacements that need to happen. And then also, there was a list provided of some new spots that people are willing to accept trees. So that's in the works. So we're going to favor kind of how it's listed here. So residents, number 1, they get the lion's share of the trees. Businesses, number 2. Parks, number 3. So with all things considered, what we're looking at capability-wise of total number of trees to plant between the township, tree authority, and potential volunteers is I would like to shoot for, so if we do 50, 50, and 30, that would be 130 trees this fall. So I do need to double check with Frank if 30 of those trees we can get another grant for, so essentially those would be covered. So coming out of our fund would be for 100 trees, which would be 4750 times 2. So I know that sounds like a ton of trees, but we have some additional manpower, and I think the more trees we can get planted, the better. So any questions, comments on that approach?
So Seth, you're proposing a total of 130 trees for this fall?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think we did 70 and 60, right around that last year,
Mhm.
between 60 in the WBA and 70 going to residents, round numbers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think
it's-
that's great.
It's obviously one of the bigger plantings we've done, but it's not ridiculous in my opinion, and I feel like it's reasonable, attainable goal. Great. Okay. So lots of stuff in the works there. We'll keep you posted. But we're headed in the right direction. Great. And I did confirm with Tree Authority and Hassan, just obviously we need to get scheduled and on his books, that we're okay if we wait until next month. Just wanted to make a mental note of that. All right. Next, so ordinance update. So this was on the last BOC agenda, but it got pushed to the next, which is July 5th. No, not July 5th. Early July. So that is yet to be put into place, but that is in the works. Item C, the comprehensive update that we aligned to last meeting. So I'm in the midst of preparing that to send over to Bill White, Township Manager, just to get comments on that, then propose that to the VOC to have John Rice draft.
Okay, and Seth, were you able to get the source document? And are you redlining that?
So right now I just have a formalized memo will be the first part of it. We could do a red line, but I have been, the most recent ordinance update, just referencing the specific sections has seemed to work, but.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I thought, oh, Lisa isn't here anymore. I thought a red line was requested, but realistically, that would take us more time because we don't have the source document. So if we can just do it via memo, that's great.
Yeah, let's run with that, and then if a red line is requested, we can figure that out at that point.
Okay, and you're doing that based off of the Excel changes that, perfect.
Yep.
Okay,
You
super.
got it. Tree maintenance proposal, so I did start a skeleton deck of that. I don't have anything ready for review just yet, but hopefully in the next meeting or two, I should have something. The communication, so last meeting, we reviewed the master flyer, talked about a couple of revisions to that. I did make those updates, sent it around, and it did make its way into the agenda. So just a quick reminder on the updates to that, which were the primary ones being, we flipped the Conservancy and our planting sections. Previously, they were that order because spring and then fall, but now we're both doing, different plantings in the spring and the fall. So we're now first, they're second. And then the other update was at the bottom section, which was shifting around the mention of bamboo and ending on a happy tree note, I believe I called it. So that's all been revised. So if that all looks good to everyone, what we'll do is get that, I'll try and get that on the next BOC agenda, just as an FYI. And then what we can do then is formally disseminate that to the BOCs, to get it out to their wards via their own channels. We'll get it to Molly to post. And the good news is, what we can then do is, after we post the flyer in its entirety, over time, what we can do is maybe pull out certain sections of it and post just those sections. So we're approving one document, but if you look at how those sections are divided up, it's almost, like you could chunk those out into 6 different posts, if you will.
It's still the idea to take them around to the real estate offices?
Yeah, certainly. So I know Claire has offered, I know my sister-in-law has offered, so I think, we have plenty of people to disseminate to. And regarding the specifics of getting this into, the home buying packet, if you will, obviously that'll be up to the individual brokerages, but
Right.
we'll request that they do that.
Okay, sounds good.
Great.
Yeah, it looks great.
Good. Sounds good. Thank you. All right. So I'll do a formal approval on this, just for our sake. So I'll make a motion to approve the master flyer as currently revisioned.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, any old business before I move to new business? Okay, new business. So some disappointing news, but you can't be disappointed when it's in reference to free things. So, so we had everything in the works for the 40-tree PHS giveaway this Saturday. Unfortunately, when they tore down the flower show, trees went left, right, and wherever. So PHS has committed to doing an inventory, and they'll provide us with numbers next week. So hopefully, you know, we still have something to give away. But some of the highlights are, you know, we were very nimble in seizing an opportunity, which is great. Thanks to Ricky for talking with the township from a specifics and logistics perspective and offering to go pick the trees up. And then also, registration, I think, went very well. So what we did this go around was I set up radnortrees.com/PHS, and it redirected to a Google form. The post went out 6 p.m. Sunday. By 5 a.m. Monday morning, I checked, and there were already 52 submissions. So an incredible amount of good response. So I think a lot of it obviously had to do with the flower show. You know, people would expect that these would be interesting plants and nice plants, which had a little bit to do with it. But there's still a high demand for all things flowers, trees, and everything in between, which is great. So we'll keep everyone updated there. Appreciate everyone who volunteered to come out this Saturday, but again, it is canceled or postponed, I would hopefully like to say, and we'll be reaching out with any updates for those that have signed up. All right, any other questions, comments on the flower show or new business?
Just a question. Like, before we've had struggles in getting residents to sign up for trees, but to get 50, like, in one night is, like, fantastic.
It's incredible, yeah.
So is it something that we did differently communication-wise that we think really worked?
So I think a couple highlights would be, we've been eliminating the registration fee, which, you know, that may or may not be a hurdle for all, but some. It also reduces, you know, there's complexity of signing up and administration burden. And then I do think, and we've done this in the past, but just some way where we can spin our marketing. So for instance, in the fall planting, we are getting these trees through PHS. So I think, you know, we should definitely advertise details of the trees, you know, the community aspect of it. And I think that the ease of registration would, in my eyes, be what worked. So we can consider doing the similar setup that we just did for the flower show. Google Forms, really flexible and easy to use, can provide everyone access. And we can make, you know, changes on the fly if we need to, which is great. So, you know, I had just a quick thought as I had set this one up, which was radnortrees.com. You know, maybe we have a quick landing page with, are you a resident, are you a business, or other, and we can just leave something like that up. Maybe not all year, but an extended amount of time so we can get a rolling list. I know we have a lot of good lists all over the place, but maybe we just have a permanent way to sign up if you're interested. But just a thought and thinking aloud, but yeah.
No, that's super. We should continue it because that's really a fantastic response.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
so whatever we did here, we can leverage for the fall planting as well.
Yep, agree. Fantastic. All right. Any other new business? All good? All right, hazardous trees, looks
Seth.
like there's a few. Ricky?
I'm sorry, could I just wanted to chime in before we got to the
Sure,
hazardous
yeah,
part?
yeah,
I just wanted to
of course.
inform everybody on the committee that we met with the awarded tree bid contractor, was it Monday, Tuesday? And they will be starting next week, probably about Tuesday. So those 150 trees that were on that tree bid contract that you all looked over, that will begin to get underway next week.
Okay, do we have a communication plan to go out for those removals?
I can work on that.
Well, let me ask this, they're scattered all throughout the township, right?
Yeah, they have, there's a few prunings and removals in residence houses, and the rest are all in parks. So some of them will have to be communicated because they'll be, like for instance, on the bike trail, they're gonna be heavy
Sure.
work on there. So yeah, we probably will have everything communicated because after we've done the resident removals, we have a lot of streets and parks that are
Yeah.
tied in.
So it might be worth just putting together, and you can spin it to say, we're doing tree maintenance in the township. You may see removals happening at residents and parks. I think that would be advantageous.
Sure, I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, hey Seth, just one thing under new business. Did we want to talk about the tap trail?
Yes, yes, we do.
So both Seth and I have noticed that the tap trail, where they did a nice job putting in this 6-foot wide trail and planted probably over 200 some trees, about 20% of them are probably dead, and I see James nodding as well. Yeah, and at least talking to Ricky, the good news is it's still under warranty, the 1-year warranty. So it would be great, one, if they could be replaced, and then two, can we even optimize the landscaping plan where, we have small, like let's say red bud trees in areas that are wide open that could easily take a large canopy, and we've got large canopies right underneath, like right up against the woods. So maybe we can even use the bank in between the sidewalk and the Route 30 better to...
Ricky, I know that was a collaboration with the township and the school district.
Mhm.
Do we have a contact, or how do you want to go about reaching
I would
out?
probably start with Steve Norsini, because
Okay.
that was his project that he oversaw, him and
Yep.
John Hosback. So we'd probably reach out to them, those two.
Tell you what,
And then-
you got plenty on your plate. I'll reach out to those guys.
Yeah, because they also have the contact for the school district, even
Sure.
though there is a right-of-way there that we have, just to always keep the school district in the loop and keep that relationship thriving.
Okay. So I'll reach out to Steve and John, and I'll copy you. And we'll see what we can get going there. Thank you. The other hazard trees that are listed on the agenda, anything that is noteworthy for those, Ricky? The 6?
No, they were all vetted, been deemed hazardous and agreed upon by John.
Great. Thank you. Trees removed by Radnor Township, looks like 2, an 18-inch sugar maple and a 22-inch North Wayne parking lot. Where was the one in the North Wayne parking lot?
Right where the tent used to be.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they had that planning project that was done in WBA, and we received tons of calls about that tree still standing, and what happened was it started to drop a bunch of branches, so we had John have a look, and he said that it needed to come down due to that, so.
Got it. Thank you. Any other comments on the hazard trees or trees removed by Radnor Township? All good. Public participation. Sarah, we know you want to talk. All right. And we don't have any other means of public participation, so does anyone have any last final words? All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.